Most good afternoon, Turkish 2694 on the ASUS right.
Good afternoon. $2,500.
Turkish 2694, contact Moscow Tower on 12.1 platform Station GG.
Contact Tower 12.1, Turkish 2694. Most Tower, good afternoon, Turkish 2694, ALS 29 right.
Turkish 2694, Moscow, Roger. Turkish 2694, Moscow, wind 020 at 4. Runway 29 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 29 right, Turkish 2694.
Turkish 2694, wind 050 at 4. Runway 29 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 29 right, Turkish 2694.
Turkish 2694, runway 29 right, clear to land. I need you to read back the runway number and clearance.
Cleared to land, runway 29 right, Turkish 2694.
500. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard. Drive.
Turkish 2694, welcome to Moose. Contact ground on 121.675.
Contact ground 121.675, Turkish 2694. Most ground, good afternoon, Turkish 2694, clear of runway via Bravo.
Turkish 26904, Moose ground, clear runway via Bravo approved, taxi to parking.
Taxi to parking, Turkish 26904.
Turkish 26904, taxi to park 19er at your discretion. Good day.
Taxi to parking, Wainana at pilot's discretion, Turkish 26904. Good day. Turkish 26904 requesting gate 3.
Turkish 26904, Roger, number 3 approved.
Taxi to gate number 3, Turkish 26904.
Turkish 26904, negative, number 3 approved. Taxi to gate number 3 was not instructed.
Taxi to gate number 3 approved, Turkish 26904. Well, it's time for me to talk about my experience so far with Beyond ATC and Say Intentions. Less than a day before this flight, I tried out Beyond ATC's experimental traffic feature and I really liked it. I liked it to the point that I can no longer go back to flying offline without any traffic. The only problem is that I think the controlling is still not that great, therefore I can't use Beyond ATC's traffic. This leaves me only with VATSIM. I felt like I wasn't ready for VATSIM yet, but I had another idea. What if I tried out Say Intentions? Say Intentions does not have traffic yet, but its controlling is, I think, better than Beyond ATC and can be a good exercise before going back to VATSIM. I'll now compare Beyond ATC with Say Intentions, beginning with Beyond ATC. I'll start with the negatives. The biggest one at the moment is that it doesn't understand me that well. Almost every time I have to repeat myself, like to have a better chance of being understood, I have to try and sound robotic, but in some situations I just can't be understood. The biggest one being getting handed off from one controller to another. It just doesn't work at all and I have to use the autoresponder or manually click on the UI to acknowledge instructions or announce myself on frequency. However, I think this should be fixable. The next negative is that it is very limited as to how you can interact with the controller. At any phase of the flight, there's a list of options that you can click on the interface. This translates to exactly how many things you can say to the controller with success. Unfortunately, this list is very limited and it can be pretty challenging to get yourself out of unfavorable conditions. It could be maybe you can't comply with certain instructions and there's just no way of explaining to the controller the situation that you are in and how they can help you. With human controllers, this is not a problem. The last negative for me at this moment in time is the vectoring. I think the vectoring is pretty tight. Most of the time it works, but I'm usually worried that I might not be able to intercept the ILS properly, and in case that happens, it's a big problem to resolve that situation. Now on to the pros. The biggest one obviously being the traffic that I already talked about. The next one will be that it's cheaper in that you only need to spend once. You can improve your experience using premium voices, and how much you spend on that scales with how much you use the program. It doesn't have a monthly subscription fee. Now to say intentions, starting with the cons. This isn't really a big one, but as much as it understands me much better than Beyond ATC, once or twice it won't understand me, but I think it handles such situations much better than Beyond ATC. The other con is it not being able to process properly what it should do next in response to my transmission. For example, on this flight, I was vectored to a heading of 080. I read back, turn heading 080. Then it replied, turn heading 080 approved. And that doesn't make sense. This is something that I also noticed with Beyond ATC, though for it tends to be regarding cruise altitudes. However, I think this should be fixable. Now onto the positives for say intentions. As I've already mentioned, it understands me most of the time. On this flight, I think it was only twice that I said something and it picked up the completely different thing. The other positive is that it's not as limited as Beyond ATC as to how much or how many options you have for interacting with the controller. The second con is that it's not as limited as Beyond ATC as to how many options you have available to interact with the controller. It feels more flexible, like I'm more confident I can resolve an undesirable situation with citations more than with Beyond ATC. The other positive is that I think it has better vectoring. Whatever instructions it gives me make sense, and I am more comfortable that I'm going to intercept the ILS without any problems. However, I will say that I haven't had any experience with visual or RNAV approaches with say intentions. These two kinds of approaches have been a problem with the Beyond ATC for me, and I really hope that say intentions can do it better, but whether it can do it is something that I haven't tested yet. The pro for citations is it has difficulty levels, and with both of them there are settings that you can change to tune the difficulty to your liking, but citations comes with difficulty presets. There's the beginner one, which is the easiest, and then there's the standard difficulty, and then the pro difficulty. I started this flight with the standard difficulty, but found that when I said something wrong it wouldn't correct me, so I switched to the pro difficulty, and that fixed that problem. But it's still not perfect, especially on those very few examples where it doesn't properly understand what you're saying. Another positive is that it has way more features. On its website's pricing section, it lists all the features that it has and compares it to the alternatives, and from what I can see is that it has way more features. I am yet to test most of these features, so you can take that with a grain of salt. That marks the end of my summary regarding my experience with Beyond ATC and say intentions. I think I've barely scratched the surface for what both of these two pieces of software offer. Therefore, it's hard for me to give a strong opinion about which one is better. But at the moment, I slightly prefer, say, intentions. I think the best thing is to just give them time. They're both work in progress, and I don't think I should be out here trying to say which one is better, knowing that in the future they all could be very different. Now on totally unrelated matters, my next flight will be on VATSIM, and since I'll be using my voice pretty much from now on almost every flight, I'll also be using my voice to express my thoughts. I think using my voice is less intrusive than using text on screen. Text on screen takes a lot of space and really limits what I can say. It's also very tedious to type when editing. I use DaVinci Resolve, and I don't know why it's such a bad experience with DaVinci Resolve. I've used Premiere Pro a bit, and adding text to screen with Premiere Pro is so much better. but in general I prefer DaVinci Resolve since it's free. That marks the end of my ramblings. Thanks for watching and Safari Salama.